to clarify, we did speed up part of that video of the Indian sign being removed. It looked a little dangerous there for a moment, but no one was harmed in that video for sure. Well, happy Election Day, everybody. I'm Betsy Kling alongside Russ Mitchell, who is in for Jay once again today. Big day today.
It is great to be with you. A big day, an historic day. Whatever happens, history will be made in just a few hours.
That's it. And we start things off with our Election Day coverage. We have some big races that are happening here in Northeast Ohio. And of course, we have the best teams standing by to bring you the latest updates in each race. From school board races to issue 24 and Cleveland's mayoral race, we have it all covered.
Yes, the A team out there tonight. You're looking at live looks outside Justin Bibb's headquarters tonight. That's the Olivet Institutional Baptist Church and Kevin Kelly's watch party that will be at the Harp Restaurant. One of them will become Cleveland's next mayor, the first time the city has had a new mayor in 16 years. And that's where we begin tonight.
And our Lena Lai is outside of Kelly's headquarters. Lena, how's his team feeling as we kind of race to the end of voting today?
Yes, very hopeful tonight, Betsy. We're here outside of the Harp Irish Pub on Cleveland's west side, where Kelly will host his election night headquarters. And I tell you what, Kelly, over the last 6 weeks since the primary, has really tried to differentiate himself with his opponent, Justin Bibb. And there have been two major themes. One, his experience, and two, as you can see the sign behind me, his opposition to issue 24. Now, Kevin Kelly started his day casting his own ballot this morning and then spent the day working the phone banks and visiting polling locations on both the east side and west side. This is the candidate with experience. He's represented Old Brooklyn since 2005. He's served as city council president since 2014. Critics say his biggest knock, has he done enough as council president in the last 8 years to handle crime, health disparities, education, and commerce? He does have the endorsement of Mayor Frank Jackson, but he is quick to vow that he represents change and promises to do a full audit of City Hall to review public services. But it is his opposition to issue 24, which is a clear dividing line. The city charter amendment creating a civilian review board, which he does not like the notion of a charter amendment creating a powerful appointed board, a body that is non-elected. And before we go, I have to show you these two guys across the shoreway, the two supporters for Justin Bibb. God bless. They're here right outside Kelly headquarters to send their message, and it is cold out here. Now, I'll tell you what, at 5:30, Betsy, when we come back, we'll talk about what Kelly needs to do in order to pull off a win. Back to you.
All right, Lena, stay warm out there, and we'll check back in with you in about 30 minutes or so.
And our team coverage now continues with Mark Namick, who's here with us right now. Mark, of course, you're going to be at Justin Bibb's headquarters later on tonight. Justin Bibb, 34 years old, no political experience, in many ways came out of nowhere. How did this happen?
Well, he did. And first I want to say I feel guilty that I'm warm and Lena is out there being cold, but I'll be cold later, I promise. Bibb has boasted about the fact that he doesn't have that experience, which sets him aside as the outsider. He talks and says the word vision quite a bit. He has done it by meeting one-on-one with voters. He has calculated, hundreds of meet and greets that started off on Zoom during the pandemic with about 10 people, grew where he had, 20, 100 people on these Zoom calls. He's been around the city, and let's not forget that background of talking about a vision helped him raise more than $1 million, and that certainly plays a big role in your ability to land in the second spot, or one of the two spots. Let's not forget he was first coming out of the primary with 7 people, 5 of which all had political experience. So it says voters are looking for the outside view. He continues to play it up.
Well, the mayor's race, not the only thing voters have to consider today. There's city council that's also on the ballot. What do you know about all that?
Yeah, and it's easy for city council to get ignored when you have such a dynamic mayor's race, but we have more women running for city council than we've ever had before, and we have competitive races in about 9 of those seats, and we could see very close races in places where we've had longtime West Side or near West Side Councilman Anthony Bracatelli, who's being opposed by an attorney, Rebecca Mayoral. That race was separated by 80 votes in the primary. We have one in Ward 5, which is Richard Starr from the Boys and Girls Club taking on a recently appointed councilwoman replaced Phyllis Cleveland, who left to work in the utilities department. So those two races right there, a handful of votes, lots there to watch tonight.
It's a serious power shift that's going to be taking place in the city of Cleveland.
Yes, and I think we will also talk later about issue 24, which gets into the police, and that's another very big shift, as you point out, in some of the power in the city.
Yeah, and when you talk to people about this happening in Cleveland who live in the suburbs and say they're not really paying attention, trust me, hey, so goes Cleveland, so goes this entire area.
And that is
This
the number one question at every
everybody.
soccer game I'm at is who's going to be in charge of Cleveland, which is, our downtown, the lakefront, future of jobs. It's a big deal.
Greater Cleveland is what it's called, and there's a reason why. All right, Mark, thank you so much.
Thank
and you mentioned issue 24. That is another big issue that is on this year's ballot. And this is a proposed charter amendment for the city of Cleveland that would put a civilian-led commission in charge of police discipline. Marissa Sines is live at the Cleveland Police Union headquarters with more. Marissa?
Good evening, Betsy. Now, today we'll decide if issue 24 is a pass or if it's a fail. And leading up to this point, we've really only seen people on one side of the aisle or the other. There's really never been anybody in the middle on this issue. Now, should this pass, we would see a new board, a new commission created that would be selected by the new mayor and city council. Officers who are being investigated would go before this board, which would decide how discipline would be carried out, as well as some police policies. Typically, these matters and decisions are investigated by an internal board and signed off by the police chief or the public safety director. Now, there are concerns that should this pass, officers would resign and retire. And right now, the force is understaffed by over 100 officers. Both sides are hard pressed in their stances. One side saying if officers don't like more accountability, they're not the kind of officers we need. The other side saying there's more than enough accountability now.
We are watched all the time. If a camera's not on us, there's a camera at every corner and everybody has a cell phone camera. And if we're wrong, we get suspended and we get termination. We probably get the most discipline in the state, so we are held accountable.
They should simply make good on that threat if they feel so strongly that having a greater layer of civilian oversight is so horrifying to them. The idea of actually being held accountable to some standards, that this is a relatively minor adjustment in the scheme of things. It's not going to affect people who conduct themselves appropriately.
Yeah, and this is a dividing line for the mayoral candidates as well. Justin Bibb has been vocal that he supports the amendment, saying that it adds a needed layer of accountability, while City Council President Kevin Kelly says that this is doing the opposite and really kind of ignores the process the city is making with the U.S. Justice Department. Betsy?
Certainly one to keep an eye on, and we will get that yes or no later tonight. All right, thanks so much, Marissa.
Yep.
We want to switch to school board elections now, and you may have noticed there's a spike in the number of candidates running this year. Amanda Abraham tells us that increase comes as hot-button issues take center stage in local districts. Amanda, good evening to you.
Good evening, Russ. Yeah, here at the Riverside School District, we have 8 candidates on the ballot for 3 seats. And this is something we're seeing across Northeast Ohio and across the state. More candidates on the ballot this year. We spoke to the Ohio School Board Association on what they've noticed, which is about a 50% increase in the amount of candidates running in this year's elections. It comes as we're hearing more of those debates centered around mask mandates, vaccines, and critical race theory. Rick Lewis with the Ohio School Board Association says he's seeing more politics get into school issues and campaigns, but he advises voters to look beyond party lines and a single issue.
Whether they're right or wrong, on a mask or a mandate or vaccination or critical race theory, so you accomplish that. You still have 4 more years on your watch. How are you going to improve learning?
And there are also a list of school levies on the ballot as well, including a $6.8 million levy in Lorain. Lorain is looking to bring in money to avoid cuts and also to get out of state control. We'll have more for you coming up tonight, as well as on WKYC.com. Amanda Abraham, 3 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you so much. And for the latest election results, head to our WKYC app and WKYC.com. You'll find a live blog with real-time updates as those results come in throughout Northeast Ohio. Remember, the polls close at 7:30 tonight.
And carrying on that school theme, school violence continues to be a big problem in several school districts. This morning, the Akron Educators Association released a statement of no confidence in the district's security team. Monica Robbins takes a look at the issues and what one expert says should be done about it.
Bedford City School District remains remote for November, while the district hires more social-emotional learning staff, meaning social workers, therapists, and extra guidance counselors. Like many districts, violence is escalating. Bedford police responded for fights, assaults against staff, and an incident involving a 20-year-old on school property with a loaded gun. This fight in Akron last week prompted several suspensions, but capped the tipping point for the Akron Education Association. The union of more than 2,400 teachers issued a no-confidence resolution against Akron Public Schools Security Director, Hearing Officer, and Office of Special Education for not following the Code of Student Behavior relating to school violence.
We had a child that physically assaulted a pregnant teacher this year. The pregnant teacher ended up in the hospital for 48 hours with complications due to the assault. The child went downtown for a hearing and was returned to the same building. And the same day he returned, he assaulted another teacher. Those are the kind of problems that we have to take a look at.
New Superintendent Christine Fowler-Mack will meet with the union next week. In a statement, a school spokesman said, "We share some of the same concerns and continue to work through them with the AEA." Shipe says teachers are already quitting this year over safety issues.
There have been both loaded handguns and unloaded handguns brought to multiple schools just this school year. There have been bomb threats.
Dr. Ben Carney, Chief Clinical Officer with Ohio Guidestone, a behavioral health agency, says the pandemic isolation took a toll on kids that led to stress and anxiety, and mental health resources in schools is now vital.
State and federal funding really has to be focused on the social emotional workforce, social workers, counselors, psychologists.
Monica Robbins, 3 News.
It's now 5:12. We have some breaking news to tell you about. This just coming down in the last few minutes. A group of independent advisors to the CDC just recommended Pfizer's COVID vaccine for kids 5 to 11. Again, that panel recommended that, gave the thumbs up. The shots will be given in a smaller dose and with smaller needles to make it easier for healthcare professionals to administer to children. This comes after the FDA granted emergency use authorization last Friday. The next step, that's the final step, is it will go to CDC Director Rochelle Walensky to sign off on it. And the word is also that kids could begin getting the shots by later this week. Of course, we'll have more for you on this story as more details become available. Again, just happening a few moments ago. All right, coming up next tonight, an historic day in Cleveland as the Indian sign begins being removed from inside Progressive Field. We'll tell you when that full signage is expected to come down as the team transitions names.
Then later, the 2005 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, U2, has released a new song. How about that? We're going to tell you how the legendary rock band released the new tune coming up in Pop Break. And boy, oh boy, man, lots of folks talking about the weather today.
Yeah, I know. We held it off as long as we could, Betsy Kling, but lake effect snow, it will put down some accumulations tonight. We'll talk about when, but your fall sports forecast this evening, if you're outside of the snow belt, no problems whatsoever. It's just a chilly night. We're going to get down into the 30s, even upper 20s in spots. We'll highlight where the rain snow mix is now and what happens the next couple days. Coming up.
It was a big day over at Progressive Field as the Script Indians sign from above the big scoreboard is coming down. And the entire process could take weeks. The sign company began with the I. That letter is in 3 different pieces. You see the top of it going up there. But because the weather was windy, they had to stop mid-afternoon.
Eventually, it will be replaced with the Guardian sign. Howard Hoffman and his son Ryan stopped by to relive some memories and watch the occasion.
I guess we're in a new day of age where, people have different feelings about certain things and it offends people, but I guess that's the way we live today, and we have to go on.
Well, we still don't have the official unveiling of the Guardian sign, what it will be looking like, but there is a lot of excitement for that too. And once the sign is removed, the Indians sign, it'll be put into storage. The team name goes back more than 100 years to 1915 when the Cleveland baseball team became the Indians. And pretty soon they will officially become the Guardians.
Yeah, and no matter what you think about this particular issue, the page has been turned.
Yep.
The sign is coming down. The Guardian's name is going up. I got to wonder, though, are they going to sell that sign? I mean, that's got to get some money,
So
right?
there's a very interesting kind of process that's going to take place because that sign is so huge.
Right.
It's really tough to put it into one place. So they may piece it out. But if you think about the ballpark as a whole, there is Indians everywhere. And
That's true.
all of it has to be replaced. And some of the smaller items, they are thinking they will possibly kind of package up into auction items and auction those off, and then that money will go into the Indians charities or the Guardians charities.
Yeah,
So.
it's interesting in terms of how the media calls the team now. Some outlets are calling them the Indians still until the end of the World Series. I believe that's our policy.
We're in this tweener
Exactly.
thing right now.
And as soon as the World Series ends, they'll probably be the Guardians to everybody.
Once the season is officially over, for sure. All right, well, speaking of the season officially beginning, Matt, the first flakes, the first accumulations, they've already happened today.
Yeah, getting some great videos in off of Twitter. And if you are out towards the east, you're seeing some snowflakes, feel free to tag us on Twitter, Betsy and Wentz Weather, because you're our eyes and the ears out east. And we've had some changeable precip throughout the course of the day. So you're absolutely right. Tonight, really going to be November-like. Let's just put it that way. What a changeable sky we had throughout the day today. You get away from the snow belt. We had partly cloudy skies, dark, ominous clouds. You get off towards the north, and we've had pretty constant rain with some grapple, even wet snow all day today out in Ashtabula Lake, even northern Geauga County today. Latest radar, you can see a pretty decent band starting to take shape, triggering right into areas of the Perry area, out towards the Kingsville, Geneva. This is mainly rain right now. We have had some grapple. Some of these yellow shaded areas likely picking up on some of the bigger wet snowflakes or that grapple, those Dippin' Dots. And we've got that coming on shore right now. Another secondary band throughout Cuyahoga County near the Wickliffe area, heading out towards the Heights. That one a little bit lighter. But in terms of what we're expecting over the next couple hours, more of this. This is live look courtesy ODOT of Vrooman Road right now. You can see we have had some snowflakes falling here mixing with the rain, mainly darker skies out towards the east as you're facing out towards the Ashtabula County area as well. But this is going to continue. We've got several spokes of energy along this area of low pressure. This is the cold air that's sinking in. We've got one spoke energy that's moving through now. That will likely kick off the lake effect and make it a little bit more organized over the next 6 or 7 hours. Another one tomorrow night. So as we go hour by hour with your National Design Mart forecast, you get away from the lake, we're going to go clear tonight, and it is going to be cold. We're down into the 20s for you in Akron, Canton, Worcester, Sandusky area to near 30 degrees. Here's our lake band, though. Should be pretty organized. And what we're going to see as those temps drop after sunset, we'll see a lot of this range change over to snow. So expecting pretty decent snowfall rates at times overnight tonight. Models tomorrow morning kind of wane the intensity of that. We'll see if that happens. But it kicks it up again once tomorrow in the afternoon, likely waking up to a coating, maybe a couple inches out in the snow belt. Bulk of the snow is going to be out towards Erie and the Buffalo area. They've got a winter weather advisory there. We'll have to keep our eye on Geauga Lake, Ashtabula County. Could see some snow tonight. Union Home Mortgage 7-day forecast, 40s the next 2 days. We do it all over again on Thursday. Look at the weekend, though. Sunshine, 50s, up near 60 next week. Beautiful stretch of fall-like weather. Betsy.
And it's so amazing. We have some people that are dancing and rejoicing, and we have a lot of people that are gnashing teeth and wailing, and it's just not going well for them. So something for everybody in that forecast. Thanks, Matt. Next for all of us here on What's New, celebrating sobriety. How Jessica Simpson recognizes her important anniversary date over social media, helping fans reflect too.
I do, Al. How are you? We're going to be talking about Jessica Simpson and her journey with sobriety. Okay.
It's time now to take a pot break with our entertainment reporter, Kiara Cotton.
Always good to see Kiara. You're going to tell us today about Jessica Simpson, who's opening up about her return to sobriety.
That's right, Russ and Betsy. She is being super vulnerable and it's just showing just how far she's come since her days on reality TV. But nowadays, Jessica Simpson is a mom, an entrepreneur, singer, and most importantly, she's sober. In an emotional post on Instagram, the 41-year-old shared a picture of herself from 4 years ago on the day she began her sobriety journey. In the post, she wrote, she details how the person in the photo is unrecognizable, and at the time she had so much self-discovery to unlock and explore. She ended up the post by saying, the drinking wasn't the issue. I was. I didn't love myself. I didn't respect my own power. Today I do. I am free. And wedding bells are ringing for actress Kristen Stewart. In an interview this morning, she revealed that her and girlfriend Dylan Meyer are now engaged. According to Stewart, Meyer popped the question, and she described the moment as really cute and that she did very well. The couple were first linked together back in August of 2019. And legendary rock band U2 has joined the world of TikTok. The group posted to the social media platform for the first time yesterday, sharing a clip of their new single, Your Song Saved My Life. The song is featured on the upcoming soundtrack for the film Sing 2, where lead singer Bono will make his animated debut. Now that the group has joined TikTok, users can also use songs from the U2 discography for their own video creations. And keeping in the world of music, the American Music Awards are coming up later this month, and it's been announced that hip-hop artist Cardi B will be the official host. She has tons of personality, guys, so I think this is a perfect fit. And, you know, you never know what she's going to say, so have the bleep button ready.
The bleep button, the 7 seconds, they may do a 15-second delay just because.
Censor will be working overtime.
Big time.
On that night.
The director. Right. Yeah, certainly. Oh, my gosh. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. Thanks, Kiara.
Yes, thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, still ahead for us here in the next half hour of What's New. Just 2 hours until the polls close. And for Cleveland's mayoral candidates, it's a sprint to the finish line. We'll have the latest on Kevin Kelly and Justin Bibbs' campaigns.
And we continue following the other big races this election day. Well, Yoke will be along to fill us in on how some of those issues are turning out tonight.
And it is Tech Tuesday. We're going to be talking tech and Amazon launching satellites into orbit. We'll tell you all about their plans to provide high-speed internet around the world. We'll be right back.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's New on this election night. I'm Betsy Kling, alongside Russ Mitchell, who is sitting in for Jay today.
It is great to be with you. Election night in the newsroom, folks, means food is coming in. Usually that's pizza.
We're allowed to have food again in the newsroom.
I hear tonight it's steak and lobster.
Really?
Or tacos, one of those three. I'm not quite sure.
But it is Tuesday.
That is true.
So we might have to do the tacos.
An exciting night, whatever food they're bringing in tonight. And we begin with one of the biggest races of the night. Who will be the next mayor of Cleveland? Justin Bibb or Kevin Kelly? Let's take a live look at where each candidate will be watching tonight.
And we'll be checking in with Lena Lai, who's with Kevin Kelly's camp, in a minute. But first, Mark Namick joins us here in the studio. And Mark, we still have about 2 hours until the polls finally close. Let's talk about turnout, because traditionally these kind of off-year elections are not great amounts of turnout. But with the big decisions being made, it's kind of the small but mighty group that has the biggest say.
Yeah, unfortunately, recent elections in this city have been abysmal.
Yeah.
And people haven't been coming out, and it is the true test of a candidate's campaign. Justin Bibb, for example, has been bragging about having the best, most tech-savvy campaign. Does he know where his voters are? That will get tested in a little while. Elections officials have predicted that there will be 30% countywide turnout. Campaigns for mayor believe about 25 to 30% turnout, which is terribly low, really low in certain pockets. Right now, we're seeing huge turnout of above 30% in the far west side, where Kevin Kelly has a base, and Justin Bibb did quite well in the primary there as well. Also, some contested races have a spike in turnout right now. But I think overall it's probably going to come in about where election officials say, roughly a little under 30%.
So you mentioned that there's high turnout in the far west side. Kelly typically was doing very well there, but Bibb was getting more and more kind of chipping away at those areas. Do we have any insight about other parts of Cleveland?
Yeah, the east side, far east side, Ward 1, also traditionally has a good turnout, and it is tracking slightly ahead of where we are on the west side. I mean, not quite as fast, but close to where they predicted. And then some pockets around town. The near west side, that's where a lot of new homes and new voters are that Bibb targeted are doing well. Kevin Kelly has support with some east side councilmen, so you could see a little push there.
Wow, it's definitely going to be an interesting night as the results come in. We are going to be watching all of it as they come in and posting live on WKYC.com too. You're going to be headed out to Bibb's campaign
right after
area.
the 7. What we update with Russ at that time as well, and then we'll head out there.
Perfect. Thanks
we'll get a taco or whatever we're having.
I'm taking whatever's there.
All right, good idea. All right, Mark, we'll see you later. Let's check in now with Lena Lai, who is outside the Harp, and as Mark just told us, it's all about turnout today. But you've been covering this race as well. Lena, what do you think? What did Kelly have to do today to win?
Yeah, you know, Mark pretty much hit the nail on the head. Since the primary 6 weeks ago, Kevin Kelly has had to drive home his experience compared to the political novice in Justin Bibb. And as you mentioned, Kelly certainly does have his base, his support on the far west side, also his support from the southwest side of Cleveland, of course, where Kevin Kelly has represented the old Brooklyn ward since 2005 and serving as council president since 2014. So what does Kelly need to do? He needs to pull in his support from the east side. And in order to do that, he's hoping to lean on his endorsements from his fellow council members. So after casting his ballot from this morning, we caught up with Kelly visiting polling locations on the east side, hoping to lean on that support from the east side. From his primary opponent, he got an endorsement from Bashir Jones, also another endorsement from fellow councilman Blaine Griffin. But, you know, it will be interesting to see how much issue 24 will play into the mayoral race outcome. Kelly opposed to the charter amendment to create a civilian review board to oversee the police. He just does not like the idea of a non-elected body having that much power. Instead, he would like to continue to follow the blueprint as set up by the federal consent decree, which outlines a list of police reforms that the city had agreed to in a settlement with the U.S. Justice Department back in 2014. So for Kelly tonight, Russ, it is east side. He needs to pull in that support from there.
You and I talked about this as well. Of course, Kelly also got the endorsement of the mayor. It'll be interesting to see if that helps him or hurts him today.
Yeah, you know, he has said that even though he has gotten the endorsement from Mayor Frank Jackson, he has tried to emphasize that on day one, if he is elected, he is going to promote change, ordering a full audit of city services to make sure they're better serving the public.
All right, Lena Lai, we will see you at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Well, just about a half hour ago, we told you about the breaking news from the CDC. A group of its independent advisors just recommended Pfizer's COVID vaccine for kids 5 to 11. The shots would be given in a smaller dose and with smaller needles to make it easier for healthcare professionals to administer to children. On Friday, the FDA granted their emergency use authorization, and the next and final step would be for the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, to sign off on it. So the process continues.
Still ahead tonight, our Election Day coverage continues, looking at a live picture from the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections in downtown Cleveland. Will Ewick will have some of the other big issues on the ballot coming up.
And First Energy is expected to refund millions of dollars to customers after charging too much for power. We'll explain the breakdown and how to tell if you are impacted too.
But first, Matt Wentz has your weather in a jiffy. Hi, Matt.
Yeah, Russ and Betsy, there's so many options this time of year because, you know, people either love or hate the weather. So I'm really trying to narrow this down. But today we're going to focus on the tale of two different places. You've got the snow belt, right? You're dealing with the rain, snow tonight. And then you've got everyone else still getting little leaf men going, right? It's kind of the way it goes this time of year. We'll highlight who's getting the snow tonight. It's all the rage after the forecast.
Hello. Mic check. What is clicking in Cleveland is that First Energy Stadium is paying millions of dollars to people. Okay, thanks.
Yep, day one of the most humbling forecasting in the country. That would be lake effect.
Right.
It is always so give and take. It is so hard to nail down. But if the ingredients are all there, it is expected to actually accumulate in some areas, but not for most.
Yeah, and that's how it goes. It's where snow persists. I mean, we're not being lazy when we say that because these bands wobble back and forth, right? But Betsy, what I've learned over the years, and I'm sure you've learned this as well, is when you say it's going to be a big deal, it's not. And when you don't say anything, it is. So our friends out in the snow belt certainly know what we're talking about. But yeah, tonight's going to be our first lake effect snow event. If you've moved to Ohio in the last 9 months or so, we get a lot of questions every year. What is lake effect snow? So I'm going to do a brief explainer of this. We start with warm lake water, right? In the fall, you get the warmest lake water of the year. Temperature right now at the surface 59. It varies throughout the lake, but we start with that warm water. We blow cold air over it. That is the key. As we go up into the atmosphere, about 5,000 feet or so, we're talking temperatures right now about 19 or 20 degrees. That's the air temperature. So you get that difference between the warmth and the cold. What happens? That water, it evaporates, right? And then you blow that evaporation once it forms clouds inland, and this is all dependent on the fetch, so the wind direction will change where those clouds and that precip goes. The other thing we have in play here across northeast Ohio is there's a terrain difference between right along the lakeshore, and then the reason why they call it the Heights, because it goes up about 1,000 feet out towards Ashtabula, Lake County as well. So when you get that rise in the terrain, that moisture goes up, it condenses, and you can squeeze out as much moisture as possible. That's exactly how we form the lake effect snow. We often get those bands. Temperatures right now are chilly. We're in the 40s generally. We've got some 30s out towards the east. This is what it feels like combined with that wind. You can see feeling more like freezing out in Ashtabula County, 30s and 40s elsewhere. We're in for a cold night. If you're not in the snow belt, we're getting down to the upper 20s to near 30 degrees tonight. So our first real good freeze of the year. Cold air continues to spiral along this general area low pressure up towards the Hudson Bay. You can see what it's doing to the lakes. Generally coming from the west right now is our fetch or wind direction, right? But look off towards the north. You've got a little bit more of a northwest component that will drive some of this precip inland overnight tonight, and it'll keep it going over the next 48 hours as it looks right now. But as of right now, we've got 2 defined bands, one coming into Ashtabula and Lake County. This one is starting to pick up some intensity. Perhaps a secondary band starting to form that would hit, just north of Cleveland, out towards the Bracknell area, out towards Euclid as well. Closer look at the radar now. Some of these yellow shades indicating where we could have some graupel mixed in. Gets heavier as you get out towards Ashtabula County as well. Look, our radar now picking up on some wet snowflakes, perhaps just south of the Chardon area, Geauga County. Live look right now at State Route 11 and 90 in Ashtabula. We've seen some snowflakes there, reduced visibility as well. So overnight tonight, things should become rather organized as we get into the lake effect zone. A lot of that will become wet snow tonight. Tomorrow morning, we may see it wane down in intensity a little bit before picking up, and we do it all over again tomorrow night and Thursday. That's when we say goodbye to this entire thing. In terms of snowfall totals, this is what the model thinks. I would say perhaps a coating up to a couple inches. Geauga County, even Ashtabula County. That would happen tonight, and then we'll do it all over again, as I mentioned, Wednesday night. Union Home Mortgage, 7-day forecast. Look at the warm-up, though, as we get into the weekend. Lots of sunshine. Betsy, fall colors at their peak right now. I think this weekend going to be fantastic for that, with temps in the 50s, even 60s by next week. Should be good.
It is Northeast Ohio, friends. The weather gives and the weather takes. So we're going to take it now, but we'll give it to you this weekend.
Right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Just the word snowfall totals kind of makes you shiver.
It's back.
It's back. Wow. It is time to see what is clicking in Cleveland. And for that, we bring in our digital anchor, Stephanie Haney. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello there, Russ. We have some news for First Energy customers today. They will be getting a lot of money back from the company. Now, this is a totally separate issue from First Energy's settlement to pay a $230 million penalty in connection to the alleged bribery scheme involving the bailout of 2 nuclear power plants. This settlement with the Ohio Consumers Council is tied to First Energy making excessive profits between 2017 and 2019. So now, First Energy, which is one of the nation's largest utility holding companies, has agreed to refund customers of its 3 Ohio electric companies $306 million over the next 4 years, and you see that breakdown there on your screen. LeBron James has officially entered the chat about whether the Cleveland Browns should trade Odell Beckham Jr., which did not happen today, by the way. If you ask LeBron, he says they should. He tweeted today that OBJ will show that he is special again and use the hashtag #FreeOBJ. Here's why. In 6 games this season, OBJ has caught only 17 passes and hasn't scored once, which leads to speculation about his chemistry or lack thereof with quarterback Baker Mayfield. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, though, is taking the blame. He says he needs to put him in a position to make plays, and for now, that is really the only opinion that matters. And with today being Election Day in Ohio, we are following real-time results of all of the important races, which is all of them. Between broadcasts tonight, you can stay up to date with our live elections blog. You can find it easily linked at wkyc.com/elections. All day today, I've been chatting with our reporters, and we've had poll closing countdowns and shared your photos with your I voted stickers. Tonight, we'll post big race results as they come in. We've had great background information all day today, Russ and Betsy, but tonight is when it really gets good, when those things come in, between our broadcasts, and we can keep you as updated as possible.
Absolutely. And, with Mark Namick and Lena Lai out there, they've been covering politics in the greater Cleveland area for years. So there's a lot of in-depth reporting that's been done and that will continue to be done.
Absolutely. It was great chatting with them today. So much insight there.
When I saw that tweet today from LeBron James, when he said free OBJ, I didn't know if that meant free him as in trade him,
right,
or free him and throw them the ball more. Any idea? None of us knows.
I would never be one to try and interpret anything LeBron James says.
Okay.
Hard to say for sure, but he's definitely not happy. We could say that.
We can say that for sure. All right. Thanks, Stephanie.
Well, you can help a child in need stay warm this winter season by donating a new or gently used winter coat to the Coats for Kids campaign. Collection bins are located at a variety of locations, including shopping malls, Howard Hanna real estate offices, Petiti garden centers, and right here at the WKYC studios. We need all sizes from infant to adult. Donations are being collected now through the end of the year. And for other ways to help, head over to WKYC.com/3cares for a list of ways to help and donate. Well, everybody, Election Day continues. We're going to check in on some of those key issues that people are voting on today.
And Amazon wants to provide faster internet speeds. We'll tell you what the tech giant is doing to make that happen around the world when we come back.
Down here at the Board of Elections, where turnout in an off-year election like this one, about 30%, right now just over 23%.
Well, there's just about an hour and 40 minutes left to vote here in Ohio, with a lot of different races and issues on ballots all over Cuyahoga County and beyond.
Will Ewing joined us now live from the Board of Elections in downtown Cleveland. Of course, Will, turnout always a topic of discussion in these matters. How's the county looking as a whole right now?
Yeah, Russ, about 30% is the kind of the historical margin of voter turnout on one of these off-year elections. Right now, they're sitting just above 23% here in Cuyahoga County. A lot of people expecting that maybe to come up or come down based on where you're living, because there are a lot of interesting races going on, a lot of issues. We've touched on 24. We've touched on Cleveland's mayor race. Actually, Cuyahoga County has 22 mayoral races all across the county. 4 of them are guaranteed new leadership. The city of Cleveland, of course, that we've talked about, but also Parma Heights, Richmond Heights, and then Cleveland Heights. Residents will be electing their first mayor in the city's 100-year history. Eyes also on Cleveland City Council. There's 17 seats up for grabs. Depending on those results, City Council could end up with the largest share of women council members in history. There's a dozen females running, some incumbent, some newcomers, all looking to lock up a seat. As Betsy mentioned, about an hour and 40 minutes to go, and they say all over Cuyahoga County, really not too late to go cast a ballot.
These elections are important because there's a lot of municipal candidates and important issues. And if you're trying to squeeze in voting before the polls close, we promise there are no long lines and no excessive wait times. We'll have you in and out of your voting location within a matter of minutes.
Russ, Betsy, one thing to keep in mind when you do go vote, if it is by paper, to make sure you flip it over. This is a sample ballot. You can see, I think they're voting for best ice cream flavor. But this is a printout that we had earlier of, this is with one of the wards, and what they do is they'll put some stuff on the front. On the back, one of the bigger ones that has a lot of wordage on it. On this one, issue 24, kind of important. So make sure when you do go vote to flip that over, make sure you cast your vote for everything.
Certainly, and boy, those ice cream votes, very contentious race there. So make sure you check your ballot twice.
Mint chocolate chip, I think a dead runaway, though.
I would have to agree with the constituents on that one. All right, thanks so much, Will.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, everybody, it is Tech Tuesday here on What's New, and we have 2 big stories that have people talking.
First, Amazon says it plans to launch its first 2 satellites into orbit late next year. It is part of the company's plan to provide high-speed internet around the globe. The company says they'll be carried into low Earth orbit in the 4th quarter of 2022, so about a year from now. Once there, Amazon can then test its networking infrastructure and communications capabilities in a real-world environment. project requires more than 3,200 satellites to be in orbit. However, Amazon can begin offering early satellite services once 578 are in place. And that will be fantastic around the globe to serve those areas that are really underserved with internet usage right now.
Everybody's trying to get a new angle on just how to deliver those internet services, what's the best way to do it. And of course, it's not just, you know, right into the wall to get your TV and whatnot. This is where everybody's at now. And so to have that maneuverability and the mobility with, you know, something from a satellite, which is just incredible.
Sure. And again, you've got these third world countries where they don't have service.
Absolutely.
Where people are woefully behind in terms of getting things off of devices the way the rest of the world is getting them. So this will be fantastic for all those folks.
And that's not just for the people living there, that's also for the people providing services there, you know, disaster relief and medical services and whatnot. They need the ability to communicate back to, you know, the folks who are funding the gig. So
sure, that Jeff thinks of everything.
I'm telling you, that Bezos. All right, well, if you are making your list or you're helping check twice, keep this in mind. It looks like the Beats Fit Pro wireless headphones are giving older Apple AirPods Pro a run for their money. According to Reviewed.com, the Beats have all the AirPods' best features, but their battery life is better. And not only is it better than just the AirPod Pros, it's also better than the Galaxy Bud Pros. These headphones work with both iPhones and Androids, so there's a little bonus there. And reviewers say that when you compare them to the newer AirPods, they are very comparable, if not a little bit better. And in case you didn't know, Beats is an Apple brand. I think that's an interesting one because the Beats folks kind of get in on the Android side too. Right. They aren't just locked in on the Apple stuff.
That's right. They don't miss a beat either. Didn't mean to say that, but yeah, you get what I'm saying there. Yes. That's Dr. Dre, right? Dr. Dre was Beats, and
he's one of the forces behind it. Right. I think the marketing.
And I think when they sold it to Apple, he made more money than he made ever. As a rapper,
right.
But good for him. But
Dr. Dre was just here to induct LL Cool J into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that was a really cool thing. He walked out and was like, oh, that's Dr. Dre. That was kind of amazing, actually, certainly.
Very nice. Did you play the LL Cool drinking game?
No.
The LL Cool drinking game, when he did the Grammy Awards, every time he'd lick his lips, you took a swig. That was the deal. And by 5 minutes in, you were feeling pretty good.
Wow. Yeah, we'll have to go back and review the tape. It's coming out on HBO, next month or something.
Not that we're recommending that to folks at home, just part of the conversation.
This is Russ Mitchell. He's just full of information, isn't he? All right, well, how does free tickets to the World Series sound? Coming up next and Show Us Something Good, we have the special moment between two rival fans, all to make one father-daughter memory made.
And we continue our Election Day coverage. Coming up on What Matters Most at 6 o'clock, we are live across Northeast Ohio with the latest on some of the biggest races on the ballot. Stay with us. On this Election Day, our pop quiz question. I didn't tell me about this.
Yeah, it's a pop quiz.
You pointed at me.
It comes out of nowhere.
It's you. What year was a bill passed to make Election Day the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November? Here are your choices. A, 1845, B, 1867, or C, 1888. I took so long there, the music ran out. We'll have the answer next.
I got you, man.
I gotcha. How you doing?
Yeah, sure. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got to say, I'm not used to doing elections in cold weather like this. Back in Texas, it never got this cold.
Kevin Kelly. Hey, Kevin Kelly hoping his experience will be the difference in this election, having served as councilman since 2000.
Before the break, we asked you what year a bill was passed to make Election Day the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. The answer is A, 1845.
And now you know.
There you go.
Well, today's show is Something Good comes from Atlanta, where a Braves fan answered the call of a Houston fan who was trying to make some father-daughter memories. You see, David Bramlett and his 11-year-old daughter are diehard Astros fans. Bramlett was not able to afford tickets to the World Series, so he posted on an Astros Facebook group that if anybody would like to exchange World Series tickets for Astros memorabilia, he'd be up for it. Well, a Braves fan saw the post and gave him 2 tickets to Game 6.
I was like, man, this guy's like literally willing to give like so much like special, special stuff away to go to this game with his daughter. And I just, I'd rather just, I'm in a position to where I could help him do that without having to give anything away.
So tonight they are going to Game 6 at Minute Maid Park.
A wonderful story.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for staying with us and watching What's New on Election Tuesday.
Please stick around for What Matters Most, which starts right now. Now it's 6, still time to vote.
Your voice matters.